Salam alaikum and Eid Mubarak to the 110 ladies and gentlemen who are online this webinar. Thank you for joining us today for the Institute of Marine Engineering, Science and Technology online meeting presented by Zara Maritime.
Please take note of the features of this WebEx website to improve your webinar experience. Please put your mics and cameras off and keep them off till the end of the presentation. The first button from the left puts the mics on and off. The camera is activated and stopped by the second button. During the presentation, if you wish to ask some questions, you may type them into the chat box. The chat button is shaped like a voice bubble and is the third button counting from the right. A question and answer session will follow the presentation. When you want to leave the meeting room, press the red button with the X on it. We want to maintain the traditions of the IMarEst UAE branch and bring back the popular raffle draw at the conclusion of this meeting. Please stay tuned and you will learn more about that later. My name is Nikhil Idnani and I'm the Honorary Secretary of the Institute's UAE branch based in sunny Dubai. Thank you for joining us in what promises to be a revealing technical session. While prevention is better than cure, engineering system breakdowns do occur due to several reasons. When an unexpected event threatens to harm a shipping company and the situation has surpassed risk management, the concept of crisis management is engaged to deal with threats before and during their occurrence. At that stage, ships require a lifeline, so to speak, enabling timely corrective action to be taken to minimize the impact on operations from the existing situation. Our speaker for today, Arvind Ahuja, being a nonconformist, will present as a spoof problems that Zara Maritime encountered related to fuel treatment, incorrect maintenance, and simple unconsciousness of telltale signs which could have prevented equipment damage and consequent downtime. Arvind Ahuja is a marine engineer with 18 years of sailing experience, including 6 years as a chief engineer on VLCCs and oil tankers. In his 15 years ashore, he's managed various types of ships and FPSOs with Williamson and Pioneer Ship Management, including core layup of ships during the 2008-2009 economic crisis. Arvind holds 2 patents for research with zero ballast and zero engine and has authored 2 books. He is the founding partner and managing director of Zara Maritime and the chief operating officer of Cybernetico, which has assisted ship owners to fulfill IMO 2021 compliance. Over to you, Chief.
Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you for a lovely introduction. There are still miles to go and lots of things to achieve. Without further ado, shall we start the presentation for today? Once again, Eid Mubarak and a very good afternoon to all of you. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today for this presentation on how to destroy ships. Before we begin, we must warn our viewers and listeners that the contents of this presentation are graphic and may inflict extreme pain to those who love ships. We do not accept any liability or responsibility for any controversies or psychological damage that today's presentation may cause. Please take this as a disclaimer. All the photos used in this presentation are from Zara Maritime's own archives, taken while attending to solve various problems. The photos are from different ships and from different investigations, but have been clubbed together under different topics just to suit the narrative of this presentation. Let us begin by applauding all of you for being a part of shipping industry which is now recognized as an essential service. But our industry is not only ships, seafarers or uniforms. It is all of you from different professions and different industries who help make the ships and the maritime industry function smoothly. As detailed in the soon to be published collaborative book, Our Beautiful Shipping Industry, to which many of you have contributed. Thank you for all your inputs. A few words on Zara Maritime. We are a crisis and contingency management company and promote ourselves as the doctors to the maritime industry. Zara Maritime is essentially a knowledge-based group of experts. We assist clients in maintaining regulatory compliance and to operate their ships efficiently. But our main role has been in attending to ships to identify and solve problems and minimize commercial losses caused by machinery or equipment failure. Performing investigations and damage surveys on behalf of owners, P&I, and hull and machinery insurers to protect the owners' interests. Cybernetico is our latest offering in Zara Maritime's bouquet of services to assist our clients to undertake each of the mandatory steps and fulfill IMO 2021 cybersecurity requirements. Some of our esteemed clients have already completed all the steps to achieve compliance well in advance of the 1st of January 2021 deadline. Here, a quick overview of the logic diagram is in order to show that the ship's staff on site attend to every issue that faces their ship. Unsolvable concerns are escalated to the ship's managers ashore, who then either are able to solve the problem, failing which they either contact the original equipment manufacturer to fix the problem or contact Zara Maritime, often as the last option. Only once confidence is established have we seen ships managers contact Zara Maritime directly. In the last 6 years of our existence, we have not failed even once. This presentation today should not take more than 20 minutes from start to finish. We have actually already completed the introduction. Next, we will touch upon various ways in which we can compromise the security and the safety of the ships. Then we'll talk about various ways in which we can damage ships. Finally, we'll open the floor to your questions and comments. We will start with a tanker that has been performing trans-HRA voyages since the day it was delivered 3 years ago, with multiple crew changes, many superintendent visits, and one recent dry docking. This photo was taken from the alleyway and shows that the security grille and the hinges have been installed on the outside of the smokeroom door. The clamps are flimsy and there is a screw missing. Since this will definitely not prevent any pirates from getting into the smokeroom and capturing personnel who may have decided to hide inside, I wonder if this was just maybe meant to be the designated hostage holding area to assist the pirates. Can our viewers spot the error that can cause fatalities during an abandoned ship? The instructions stenciled on the embarkation stations for both the lifeboats stated that the fall prevention devices, the FPD, should always be kept connected, even by normal sailing. The ship was underway with no work or drill in progress when this photograph was taken. To make an emergency fire pump only churn water, overheat, and give no output or delivery, change the impeller with a visibly smaller diameter spare. That is evidently the wrong material for the rated speed. And after PSC or AMSA detain the ship and investigators identify the problem, claim that the spare impeller was packed in a box with the correct part number. Here is a subtle way to prevent diesel generators from starting or picking up speed to rated RPM and making clear we are governor problem. Makers need to only change the design of their fuel pump bodies and increase the step behind the fuel pump by about 5 millimeters. This will push hard against the fuel rack control rod, thus preventing the control rod from rotating. But the makers must make sure not to issue any service letters or advisory notes, as this would alert everyone of such a design change. Another way to damage an engine is to remove the VIT links, the variable injection timing links, and leave them hanging loose to move freely under the influence of the ship's vibration and the fuel pump's own action. The early firing of some units and the delayed firing of other units should give us the desired results. Fooling around with fuel can teach expensive lessons. Epic damage of diesel generators and main engine can be achieved by supplying off-spec fuels. The lowest grade of furnace oil containing sludge, fuel and lube oil waste, which may be suitable only for use in boilers, may be ordered and supplied. Similar damage can be achieved by ship's managers by offering a bonus to the senior officers on board to minimize budgetary OPEX, without laying out clear guidelines on what procedures are acceptable to achieve the KPI and to qualify for the bonus. Ship staff will recycle sludge through heavy oil service tanks directly, bypass filters and purifiers, and even extend intervals between overhauls beyond the maker's recommendations without having sufficient spares on board just to win the bonus. The insurance claim amount for tugs to get the ship to safety, the expenses for procuring spares in an emergency, the attendance costs to repair the damage, and the losses incurred due to downtime and off-hire will by far exceed any deductibles. The following photos will leave a lasting impression on any inspector and permanently scar all investigators. Decide: lubrication or friction. Adding water to the sump oil works just as well as transferring under piston scavenged drain oil to the camshaft lube oil tank or to the main engine sump or the diesel generator sump. Extending the interval between oil renewals without monitoring the quality and condition of the lube oil in use gives the same desired outcomes, though this may take a little longer. All hydraulic machinery can be destroyed by reusing contaminated oil and passing it through just a mesh filter, or by not cleaning filters, or by ignoring white metal particles found during filter cleaning, or by replacing hydraulic pipelines on board without proper cleaning and purging procedures. To damage bushes and bearings on the windlass or the winches, just be stingy. Don't supply grease. Or just be lazy and don't apply grease. In cold, icy weather, keep the winches and windlass rolling according to the proper procedures. But just don't couple the drums or the gypsy. Keep them locked on the brakes. To carry out in situ repairs, while the vessel continues to trade, you have our contact details. Steering gear rollers and guides can also be destroyed by using the wrong grease or by just keeping them dry and without grease. To damage steam pipes, heating coils, cargo and tank cleaning heaters, while starting up from cold, don't drain water or gradually warm up the steam lines. Just throw the valves open and enjoy the cacophony of steam hammering. We are there to repair it. For damaging turbines, again, don't grease the valves or the linkages. Don't operate boiler at rated pressure. Supply wet steam. Don't bother with the vacuum in the vacuum condenser. Use the wrong gear case oil and the wrong governor oil. Don't follow any draining, gradual warming or slow rolling procedures. Just throw the valves open. Don't test safety devices. Ignore makers' recommended maintenance. Want to damage submerged and traditional cargo or add ballast pumps. Operate the pumps at full speed, even when the cargo levels are low. Cavitate, vibrate, and break the seals. Don't purge after the cargo discharge. Don't perform makers recommended timely maintenance. Now we come to how to break the reefer and air conditioning systems. Adjust that thermostatic valve superheat incorrectly. Don't dynamically balance fans and motors during opportunities like dry docks. Use the wrong oil. Don't grease bearings. The results are there for you to see and for us to repair. When an anchor shank or fluke is bent that prevents the anchor to come in and house properly, use this opportunity to load test the windlass at full power to identify which is the weakest component, the anchor, the chain, the gypsy, the rotors, or the ship's hull plating. We will now change gears here and demonstrate how to achieve results without putting in any effort. Apply putty on leaks even on high pressure ones instead of renewing O-rings or washers, and then call for shore assistance when USCG, PSC or wetting inspectors raise an observation. To compromise water, smoke and fire integrity, just ignore all the doors on a ship. Leave them open and definitely don't maintain the doors, frames or their backings. Not only in the engine room but also in the accommodation and on deck. Want to destroy electrical control systems on deck? Easy. We'll take the example of a rescue boat launching crane. Ignore damaged packings, weld on top of the enclosure box to create holes. For spectacular results, don't test limit switches. And to confuse everyone, replace all the automation, control and operational wires with one single wire. And don't use more than two colors. And finally, for visible mechanical damage, just leave drums, spares, and garbage unsecured. A lot of sailing staff and those with sailing backgrounds will empathize with the joy of seeing the ship picking up speed and sailing away as we disembark after an attendance. We must point out that we do provide remote assistance and are just a phone call away. We encourage our clients and listeners to contact us for the smallest doubt or concern, rather than wait for a condition to go out of control. With that, we come to the end of this presentation. We want you to remain safe from all troubles, but also look forward to hearing from you.
Thanks, Arvind. All right, it's time for some questions. And the first one, which is in three parts, comes in from Taret Mehta, who's sitting in Nigeria. I'm going to make it easier for you and break up the questions into the three parts. Yeah. So he wants to know, please share details of Zara infrastructure and staff strength.
Zara Maritime is a knowledge-based company which provides services. We have partners only who are all specialists and experts in the field. The people that we have are marine engineers, navigators, as well as naval architects. And lately we have IT experts with us. What was the second part, Nikhil? I remember the infrastructure part.
Who have your major known clients been?
Wouldn't you like to know? I can't disclose that here. I don't think that unless I get permission from our clients to speak up, I can't take names because Zara Maritime is a crisis and contingency manager. Not many people want to tell the world that they have had to come with us. What I can say is a lot of listeners today are our clients.
Maybe Arvind, absolutely fair statement you made right now. Perhaps you don't have to name them, but you can at least put them in a category. Is it ship managers? Is it ship owners? Is it charterers?
Mostly ship owners and ship managers. Charterers, no, not so far. But we have had ship buyers and S&P people who would like to have pre-purchase inspections done. We get a lot of those inquiries as well.
Which certifications does Zara possess, especially any from class?
I don't know whether a crisis and contingency management company falls in any category for class certifications. But when we have more competitors or we have more people coming into this field, maybe class will formulate rules for us as well.
Interesting. Speaking of interesting, there's one nice one from Leroy. He says, "Why is this presentation relevant now during this global lockdown?"
This was done at this time because a lot of our people who are attending this and listening in today will realize that their fatigue and long contracts also cause a loss of focus, and disasters do happen, especially during when people are stuck on board, they can't get shore leave or sign off. The incidents that get reported in the media mostly are high profile ones like pollution, grounding, collisions. A lot of people don't realize that the ship staff face a lot more problems on board, and the challenges also cost the owners and insurers a lot of money. I think this is very pertinent at this time when, especially when all of us are going through this global lockdown.
True, true, true. O'Neill says you had an excellent presentation, so congratulations for that. One
Thank
question: what was your major intention when you delivered the topic on how to destroy ships?
IMarEst has always stood for introducing new technologies and new knowledge that is available for best practices to improve efficiency and protect the ships. We at Zara Maritime, since inception, have also always guided clients and colleagues in the maritime industry to improve efficiencies and minimize their commercial losses. The reason for this presentation in a negative style was to emphasize the consequences of simple mistakes or complacency that the owners face and the managers face.
Kavel wants to know if you have global representation.
Our offices are in Dubai and in Houston. We have a representative office in Singapore. Our people can attend in America, South America, Canada, Europe, Middle East, of course, and the Far East. And the business will dictate the expansion.
Of course. Yeah, which came first, the chicken or the egg? Always a tricky one, isn't it?
True, true.
This CEO would like to know how is crew competencies being addressed to avoid mistakes mentioned in the presentation? Very interesting.
You broke up a little bit. Can you repeat that, please?
How is crew competencies being addressed to avoid mistakes mentioned in the presentation?
Uh, Crew competencies being addressed. Okay.
I presume this is more for ship managers and not for you, but
That is
uh,
it. Because we do mentor the ship staff when we go on board. Something which we didn't bring up during the presentation was that when we attend for a problem, normally it's not just that one problem that we see. When we go on board, our eyes are trained, our experience teaches us to spot a lot of other things. And then we bring it up to the ship staff notice as well as to the manager's notice. And they want us to attend to those things. We do attend to those problems as well, besides the main one which we went for. Now, coming to mentoring and teaching the ship staff, yes, we do invite the ship staff to be with us. In fact, we ask the ship's managers if they would prefer the ship staff to support us and work under our guidance, which is economical for the ship owners and managers, and it is good for us because the ship staff know their ships. But at times they do not have either the time because they are looking after the operations, the security, and the safety of the ship, or they may not have an inclination to join us and support the work that is going on. Then we take our own teams from shore. We are supported by workshops in various countries. Here in UAE, We have Five Oceans and Technomarine. In Singapore, we have support from a very good workshop. And in Houston, as well as in Europe and South America, we have people supporting us. So when you talk about only training, yes, we impart our knowledge. The only problem is by doing that, we lose a lot of business because once you train the ship staff or the superintendents who are visiting the ship, then the ship owners or managers prefer using them for similar damages on other ships. They wouldn't call us to identify the problem because their own people can do it.
Since you made a sort of out of the box presentation, and in relation to the question by Chris, would it be fair to say you would actually like incompetent crews so that they make mistakes and the chance of you getting business is enhanced?
Okay, there are two parts to this. One is my belief as there's a personal one where I'm a marine engineer and I love to see ships sailing perfectly in perfect weather with perfect conditions. And in this case, we promote educating our staff and educating the ship staff and the people who are out at sea, as well as managers if they are willing to visit the ship with us. But breakdowns do happen despite the best efforts and the best things.
Well, Kaverius, thank you for an elaborate answer to his question. Yeah. And O'Neill wants like to know if your reports and analysis hold good to cover the H&M insurances and any experiences you would like to share.
Yes, I would like to point out that we have attended on behalf of PNI and H&M, and we have our reports are based on facts. So, and they have to be legally correct so that we can support whatever we say with evidences. So, yes, so reports have never, there has not been a callback or a ask for why we have said something. So, our reports for incidents, accidents, damages have so far been accepted by PNH.
All right. My Sparky friend, who's also a member of the IMarEst, Stephen Harding, wants to know, is there any variation by ship in terms of are bulk carriers more prone to being destroyed than box boats?
From my experience, I would not say that because we have not attended to too many container ships, let's be honest. Tankers and bulk carriers is the ones which have called us. Um, Container ships, we have had fewer incidents because they have lesser cargo machinery, I think. Tankers have cargo equipment which is continuously on.
I think if you correct me if I'm wrong, if I understood from what you said, the very fact that there is no cargo handling equipment on container ships makes it so much lesser likely to have damages than, for example, your cargo pumps on board tankers.
You have understood correctly. I'm quite sure workshops get a lot of business from container ships, unlike us. We are just a knowledge-based group. Because of the steel renewals and there's a lot of steel damage on the container ships, which requires workshops. They don't need us to go and investigate a simple damage by cargo operations.
Captain Sora Batena wants to know if your work has been hampered, if you had to call upon a vessel which has reported problems in view of this endemic times with respect to boarding and travel.
Yeah. Would we be willing to attend? Is that the question?
Yeah.
We are an essential service, of course. We are allowed to visit ships. We have been giving service through this period, even when we were in the extreme lockdown of nobody moving out. Even then, we were attending to ships. So yeah.
Okay, so you haven't had your work hasn't been hampered to a large extent, maybe.
Our supervisors and technicians and our staff has been visiting ships in all the ports in the UAE. Yes, we can't fly, so we can't attend to different countries. But within the same country, yes.
Good presentation, Arvind, says Shil Cabral. How can Zara Maritime support clients during the present travel restrictions in place? Do you provide remote advice in these times? I think the first part has been answered, but yeah,
I appreciate
what
that. I
point
appreciate that.
remote advice?
Yep. Shield, yes, everything is available. We do provide remote advice, and there is obviously a cost attached to it. But yes, well, it is far cheaper for owners to take advice initially rather than after a major breakdown. But then we are available even if there's where we can't attend. There are some of the clients who are listening in, or some of the audience who's here will verify that yes, we've been giving them remote services as well, even without the pandemic.
Mhm. So you're like a lawyer, yeah? You can, every minute you speak on the phone is also billed.
We are registered with the Emirates Maritime Arbitration Center, and yes, I am an expert for legal advice as well.
Here's a curveball to prove that you are worth your salt. And Senthil Kumar wants to know whether Zara accepts a no pay, no cure policy.
We cannot accept sending out people who cost a lot. Marine engineers and marine professionals are definitely not the lowest on the rung of salaries. So yes, we do charge you, we do attend, and if we are not able to solve it, we will take that discussion with you, because so far we have never faced that problem. So there's nothing I can say about it. I can't even comment on it.
No, you have so much of confidence. That's why this question raised.
Senthil, we have never failed in the last 6 years. You yourself are able to vouch for us.
That's right.
Thanks, Senthil, for jumping in. Please take Senthil's cue, and anybody who wishes to unmute their mic might do so to ask a question. Yeah. So thanks, Senthil, again.
Thanks.
And once again, you have a positive comment. I can't make out who the person is, but says good presentation. Any experience of destroying ships with the use of VLSFO? That's something which is interesting. I guess that's a burning issue since Jan of this year. So with the new these compliant fuels, have you had any experience which has wrecked vessels?
No, VLSFO, so far I've not heard any disaster stories. If you remember, when the sulfur content started going down initially, we had a lot of problem with fuel pumps, and we had a lot of problems with vessels destroying their engines, or not starting because the fuel pump wear was high. But lately, I think the industry has moved on and done a very good job with the lubrication and design changes. So, to my knowledge, I have not heard of a disaster story. If somebody has one, please share it. We would
Yeah,
like to.
that's true. If there's somebody who has in the audience, if there's somebody who has an experience with using VLSFO and experience failures, please do jump in and share with us. There are a lot of appreciative comments, Arvind. So you're going the right way. I can tell you that. Um,
I appreciate that. Thank you, gentlemen.
after going, Madhu Pillai would like to know, after going through lots of destructions, what is your advice to owners? Means where to concentrate more, which is the area to concentrate. For example, spares, crew training, etc.
I bet every ship owner and ship manager would like to have an answer to that. The short answer is this cannot be done as long as the industry continues to make different designs of ships, continues to function the way we have been doing for the last century. Um, yes, the go-to method has been training, more training for staff, more regulations, more inspections, but only because the alternative is commercially not viable. Imagine having to get all the shipbuilders to unite and make a few designs which are perfect, like the car industry or the airline industry. But then you also need the oil majors to take direct responsibility for the fuel and lube oil supply to the ship. Then the number of people who are on board, you will have to increase those, because each there are 1,800 types of equipment on board. Even if we group certain equipment, and yet you will need specialists for each function, like communication experts, navigators, cargo handlers, crane operators, mooring specialists, specialist engineers for boilers, power, air compressor, propulsion. Can you imagine the number of people going up? You've got separate for air conditioning and food refrigeration. So, at some point, the OPEX budgets will skyrocket, the amount of space required will be crazy. The overhauling will have to be done at half time so that it never fails. Condition monitoring will probably disappear. And then you have to, when you compare it to the airline industry, then you must also give the rights to the ships to call into the nearest port of refuge, stop and drift until calm weather prevails if the weather conditions are bad ahead. Imagine all the industries will have to forget about the just-in-time deliveries. They will have to have humongous storages to stock our raw materials and perishables. All this will add to cost and trade will become astronomical. Commodities that you and I today buy so cheaply will become so expensive and unaffordable. So the go-to method today is just train, train, and train.
Our chief engineer friend Kailash wants to know if you had any experience with the use of scrubbers. Obviously, when I mean, I trust he means any bad experience.
We have installed them, but we have not faced a problem. And no, except for one video which did the rounds on WhatsApp, I believe, which was probably a fake because it didn't show the scrubber failing. So no, I've not heard of failures yet.
The highly corrosive wash water, at times, as I understand, can cause, if the piping is not selected suitably, can cause failures, especially that stub piece on the ship side. I think I was reading something along that lines. But since
You
mine managers, you haven't come across any of that, have you?
tankers where we use flue gas, they have had failures in scrubber towers, but they cannot be compared with the scrubbers being fitted today for a very simple reason that the scrubber towers that we use install on tankers have the fans above the scrubber tower. So in case there is a leakage or water spillover for any reason whatsoever, the water will go overboard, it will not go in. Whereas the scrubber towers that are being fitted on main engines, which is my biggest concern, is in case it overflows or some alarm fails or your elephant's foot that goes into it and there's a device, the water is supposed to not overflow in. It goes on to the exhaust side. It will go and damage the turbocharger, will damage the main engine, and they will be held to pay. But so far, keeping fingers crossed, there will be some ways to prevent that from happening. I hope the scrubber tower manufacturer is doing it. But we have not faced the problem so far, so that's why I can't give a. I cannot say yes, we have seen damages.
Okay, appreciate the honesty, Arvind. I think that was pretty much the last question that is, at least in the chat box. Do I hear somebody say something? No, maybe not. All right. Thank you, Zara Maritime, for enhancing our knowledge with your expertise and experience. Arvind, from the case studies you presented, which compromise the safety, security, and efficiency of ship operation, it was evident that Zara Maritime has often taken the bull by the horns during the diagnosis of impending trouble and choosing appropriate turnaround strategies. And as we also heard, the implementation of change processes. Whilst there were learning lessons in all cases of destroying ships, what stood out from the pack was the damage caused by foul fuel, incorrect operation of steam systems, and the lack of suitable lubrication. Arvind, thanks for warning us at the onset that the contents of your presentation would cause ship managers who've tuned into this webinar to cringe as they witnessed incorrect practices destroy ship's equipment. While it might have appeared to have stirred the hornet's nest, sometimes an out-of-the-box approach yields a more enduring message. Thank you all for joining us in this webinar. Zara Maritime and the IMarEst hope there was some buy-in from ship managers to assess and perhaps manage situations to maintain regulatory compliance, operate efficiently, and minimize commercial losses caused by downtime and off-hire of ships. It is the leaders of the pack that tackle adversity head-on, realizing that destiny is not a matter of chance, but of choice. Speaking of choice, when ship managers have exhausted all options to restore functioning of failed equipment. They are encouraged to consider the healing hands of the doctors of the maritime industry, for example, Zara Maritime. Moving on from crisis management to just the opposite. For those of you who are still with us on this webinar, we have a surprise. I think the last question as I scroll down here was asked by Kailash. Now, Kailash, please type in the chat box any random number between 1 and 100. Go on, Kailash, I hope you're there. And if you can type any random number, Kailash is not online. I think the other person who identified himself was Ashish Tyagi. Ashish, you came in with an anonymous name, but you identified yourself. 51. Okay, says Kailash. 51. Kailash has chosen 51. Now we will run this number given to us by Kailash through a normalization scalar formula to map out the corresponding name from the attendees still present. I hope this works. The person whose name is selected will win a pearl necklace sponsored by Zara Maritime and Five Oceans Ship Repair. Arvind's holding it up now. Look at that. However, it will be your responsibility to pick it up from Zara Maritime in Dubai. And the lucky winner is Chris Teo. Chris Teo, congratulations. You may I contact Arvind Ahuja? Yes, indeed. Or Arvind will contact you, presuming your contact details have been registered. Congratulations, Chris, and all the best, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Nikhil, for a lovely hosting of this event. Thank you to IMarEst as well for supporting us. And thank you everyone who's given us the time today. Good day.
Thanks, Nikhil and Arvind. Good luck. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.